All right. So our focusing question is, how do individuals survive challenging environments in a long walk to water? It says, after reading the novel and accounts of the experiences of the people of southern Sudan during and after the Second Sudanese Civil War, write an essay that addresses the theme of survival by answering the question, what factors made survival possible for Salva in the long walk to water? Support your discussion with evidence from the novel and be sure to explain your thinking about how this evidence relates to a factor in Salva's survival. Now, you guys are going to be doing this as your actual assessment and essay, but I'm going to switch it up a bit. And instead of saying Salva, I'm going to say Nayas. Okay. Now, as we think about Pal Tide, the very first thing that you guys need to do is you need to make sure that you pull apart the prompt. So if I'm pulling apart the prompt, I'm drawing my T-chart, line in the middle, do what? So let me go back to the prompt. After reading the novel and accounts of the experiences of the people of Southern Sudan during and after the Second Sudanese Civil War, write, so all action verbs, things that I have to do, go here. An essay that addresses the theme of survival. And I do that, it says, by answering the question. So, what factors made survival possible for Naya in the long walk to water? So it says, um, let's see what's the best way that we can respond to that. I'm going to say answer what factors made survival possible for Naya in a long walk to water. Then it says support your discussion with evidence. So I'm going to say support with, see, evidence from the novel. Let me draw this line a little bit longer. Okay. Be sure to explain. So explain, we'll leave some space here in between those two. Explain your thinking about how this evidence relates to a factor in Naya's survival. So explain how the evidence relates to or connects to a factor in Naya's survival. All right, so I have one thing, two things, three things, four things that I need to do. So I'm writing an essay that addresses the theme of survival. That's first. Second, I'm answering the question, what factors made survival possible for Naya? Third, supporting my response with evidence from the novel. And then lastly, I'm explaining how the evidence relates to a factor in Naya's survival. Okay? So this is my checklist. I know if I do all four of those things, that there's no reason why I can't get an A on this assignment. So anytime you come across a writing prompt, like you see here, we definitely need to pull apart the prompt using our T-chart. Action verbs go on the left, the actual tasks go on the right-hand side, and then just put little boxes on the side, And so as you finish them, you can just check them off. Okay? Pretty easy. Now, the next thing we need to do, we need to form evidence-based claims. We need to complete this. So our focus and question, what factors made survival possible for Naya in A Long Walk to Water? In the first row, it says detail from the novel. These are basically going to be quotes. My thinking about this detail, so you can almost say just like Powtide, so T-I-D-E, the T stands for topic sentence. The D is your detailed evidence. The I is your important. I spelled that. I did that wrong. Oh man, scratch that out. My bad. Important evidence. I knew something was wrong about that. D is detailed elaboration. And the E is end with a concluding sentence. Hopefully everybody can see that. Get my big hands out the way. There we go. So topic sentence, important evidence, detailed elaboration, and then end with the concluding sentence. I know typically in a body paragraph, I'm going to include 2 pieces of important evidence, and of course I'm going to explain and add context with my detailed elaboration. So this is really my important evidence. So here I'm just going to write I. And then my thinking about this detail, that's your detailed elaboration. So it's going to be the D in Powtide. How I connect these details is really you bringing it all together. And then your claim is actually also known as your thesis. So this is your thesis statement, the most important sentence in an essay. So just thinking about it. What factors made survival possible for Naya in A Long Walk to Water? I know just thinking about the book that she was hurt by a thorn. So a thorn got stuck on her foot and she just removed the thorn with another thorn. So we can say that could be maybe bravery or experience. So I'm just going to kind of brainstorming. So I want to include that important event. So experience. I'm going to put thorn stuck in foot. Okay. So that's one. Second thing, she had to walk every single day just to get water. So I'm going to say she was very persistent. So when you're persistent, that means you, sounds like consistent and is very similar in meaning or connotation. It's like you're constantly doing something, you don't give up. So walks daily for water. I'm trying to think what's the third thing that we can say. I mean, the fact that she walked so frequently and she did it by herself and she was only 11 years old, I can say that she was brave because the Dinka and the Nuer were still like fighting and she still decided to walk. So brave, she was only a kid and walked alone. Now, of course, for Salva's story, it's going to be a lot more exciting because there was a lot more things that actually happened in the book. So, real quick, on the first one, under experience, the thorn stuck in her foot. Let me see if I can find that one real quick here. She had a thorn stuck in her foot. So I'm actually looking through I'm looking through the novel. Trying to see when did she actually have a thorn stuck in her foot. Yeah, it's right here. She looked at the bottom of her foot. There it was, a big thorn that had broken off right in the middle of her heel. Nia pushed at the skin around the thorn. Then she picked up another thorn and used it to poke and prod at the first one. She pressed her lips together against the pain. So, like, she didn't even cry. So I could even use that one for bravery, but I'm going to use it as experience. So my detail is going to be my quote. Let me see. She looked at the bottom of her foot. There it was. A big thorn that had broken off right in the middle of her heel. Do 3 dots, the ellipses, just to show that there's more in the quote, but space and time. I had to abbreviate that, and that comes from page 8. So after you close the quote, in parentheses, you need to put the page number where it comes from. And that's going to be the same for the actual essay. So we might as well start practicing that now. My thinking about that actual detail, I want to provide some context. So let me see. It is 2008 in southern Sudan. I'm gonna say Naya's village did not have water, so Naya walked daily. Naya has experience dealing with thorns as she walks daily. Okay, so I gave a little context. I listed the setting, the time and place. I gave the reader some context about, the fact that her village doesn't have water, and basically that she has experience dealing with thorns as she walks daily. So that's pretty much how you do it. And then when I come down here, when I'm done with all 3, I'm going to connect these details, and then we'll put together a thesis.